Welcome to Sequel Presents. We're just going to wait for everyone to join us and we'll be with you shortly. So as I said, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Sequel Presents, the last one of this year, another eventful year. We're going to actually take a look forward to next year today. And joining us is Rosie Mowatt. Delighted she can join us. Rosie is Head of Communications at Arqiva. She's a Fellow of the Institute of Internal Comms and has held a number of senior positions in internal comms over her career. So we thought it'd be great for her to come along and perhaps do a bit of crystal ball gazing, talk about what's on the agenda for next year, and see if we can learn from each other. As always, if you've got any questions, please do use the question facility and we'll try and answer them towards the end of the half an hour. But in the meantime, hi, Rosie. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Can you tell us, first of all, a little bit about yourself and also Arqiva, because Arqiva is not a name that a lot of people will recognise, but it's a really important provider of, well, what we watch on TV, I think.
Absolutely, yes. So, I've been working in internal comms for a number of years, over 20, as you know. We've known each other for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
And I started out. My background is modern foreign languages, so I started out, from uni. Having studied French, German, and Spanish. My first job was in Switzerland, so I picked up Italian along the way, and spent 12 years enjoying the skiing and the fondues in Switzerland, and so that really, I think, helps to give a good diplomatic grounding and background to internal comms. So when I started my career back in the UK, I've held a number of senior roles, as you say, sort of working for the likes of Arval, HBOS Financial Services, AXA, and heading up internal comms for Empower till about 7 years ago. And then I switched and decided to go into freelance contract roles, which I found really stimulating and enjoyable. So for the last 4 years, I've been working in Arqiva, supporting all the transformation programs, so introducing large-scale system changes, Oracle, HCM, Cytera, ServiceNow, service delivery sort of software. And about, back in July, in September, I took on the permanent role of Head of Communications. So it was an opportunity I hadn't seen coming. Talking of crystal balls, but it was an opportunity that I was absolutely delighted to take. So here I am.
Okay, and what do Arqiva do broadly?
So Arqiva, we are the, as my CEO likes to say, we're the company you've never heard of behind the scenes, but we're the most important company in terms of providing the infrastructure for broadcast. So our customers are the likes of BBC, ITV, and radio. So without us, you don't get to see the telly.
Well, okay, big responsibility then. So just moving on to the subject for today, how has the IC landscape changed since the start of the pandemic, Rosie? I mean, the world seems very different to what it was 2 years ago, as for everyone, but in terms of internal comms, a big difference.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. And actually, it's sort of ironic because I remember we used to have endless debates about how we're going to reach the hard to reach and how are we going to communicate better with remote audiences. And all of a sudden we were all remote and we were switched overnight into this very different world. And, I think, if I reflect back to March last year, when we went into our first lockdown, we were really fortunate. The week before, we just literally switched on Teams video calling. And so I have to say it's the easiest and the fastest adoption I've ever sort of implemented in terms of changing behaviors and getting people to use new functionality. There was no choice. We had to, and so I think in terms of how it's changed, we've had to get more creative and switch to this very online world. And now coming out at the other side, we haven't lost the online world. We're just learning how to, sort of sit comfortably with hybrid, being in the office, being at home, sort of making it work side by side. Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of leads me on to my next question, actually, which is obviously a lot of people have said that the IC community during the pandemic has really proven itself, taken centre stage, etc., certainly during the first waves of COVID. Is 22 a chance to build on that kind of progress we made, or is there a danger that I've heard in some quarters that momentum will be lost and we go back to being the messenger rather than the kind of strategic advisors?
Yeah, and I think it's very much up to us. I think we absolutely have to shape that agenda and be part of it. And absolutely, in I think a lot of leadership teams, if they didn't know before, absolutely recognise the benefit of effective internal communication and the importance of getting communication out there. It wasn't just about posting messages. We absolutely kept our businesses going. We enabled people to work collaboratively. We provided that infrastructure, with Teams live calls, for example, to keep everyone connected and feel part of the community. So I think that 2022 is very much building on that. I and my team, we're very fortunate. We've always had the trust of our leadership team.
Okay.
So we absolutely do influence and advise and support the strategic agenda. And I think, as I say, it really is up to us to keep proactive and drive that forward.
I think you're absolutely right. If we don't continue to remind people of how great we are as an industry, then we can get forgotten. So for you personally, for Arqiva, what's on your agenda for 2022, assuming that we can, South African variant permitting, assuming that we can plan with a degree of certainty, what's on your agenda for next year, Rosie, and kind of how are you going to achieve that? What do you need in terms of the skills, the tools, the people to actually achieve what you want to do in the year ahead?
Yeah, so being new in role, that gives you the opportunity. And I've got an open door to, sort of have a look at everything, and that's exactly what we're doing. So it's not that we feel, because we always operate on a continuous improvement process anyway, and we try things out. I'm a strong advocate of the pilot. So in order to test, I think it's really important that you just test with a small group and sort of introduce under the radar, if you like. So we're conducting an audit. We're reviewing our audiences, our channels. Obviously, our audiences have changed, and.
So I've heard a lot about this from other clients as well, about this is the time to review, to audit what we've got, what the new landscape looks like. Is that kind of first on your agenda?
Yes, absolutely. So we've already kicked off that piece of work. So we're looking at our intranet. We have a really effective intranet in terms of what we have. We launched 3 years ago, so the content is good, it's relevant. We use modern SharePoint, but as you know, we did ask you to come in and support us with a bit of a review, because it's what you don't know.
Yeah.
So we could spend months finding out about all the extra bits and pieces that Microsoft might or might not be able to offer us, or we could talk
they can offer you
an
everything.
expert.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's about making those quick wins, shortcuts. Investing in expertise to move things on quickly where you need to. So we're currently looking at that.
Okay, so assuming that channel audit or that refresh, if you like, throws up a number of opportunities, obviously, for you, what as a team, how equipped are you to build on that? What other kind of resources will you need? Is it a case of one step at a time, or are you going to kind of try and do loads at once? What was your plan?
The plan is to introduce fast and furious.
Okay. Sounds like a name for a film there, but there we go. Yeah.
quick wins where we can. We've talked about the internet. Another key area is looking at how we support our managers. That's an evergreen topic, never goes away.
Is it more pertinent at the moment, given that line managers are having to manage disparate teams and manage in a different way? We found that with other clients, that a lot more responsibility for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it goes back to that that balance between consistency of message and knowing what works for your team, and having the confidence and the skills to feel that you can get behind and deliver messaging in a consistent way. So it's as much about managers sort of having that confidence, but also having the ability to make time to listen. And the listening campaign is high on our agenda as well. We've just recently done a lot of work with looking at our culture blueprint and sort of reintroducing what used to be our annual survey, but we've introduced a have your say pulse and more robust survey, which allows us to hear from colleagues much more frequently. And before, we used to ask sort of standard set of 30 questions. This time, every question we asked for additional comments, optional of course, but we were astonished. We had about 15,000 comments come through.
15,000 comments?
Yes.
And what's your workforce total?
So sorry, not 15,000, 1,500.
Oh, well,
that's a bit more manageable.
Yeah, even so, that's pretty impressive.
I do words, not numbers, of course.
The 1,500 comments.
In from one survey,
that's impressive. Yeah,
was really impressive, and we were really encouraged by that, because although you would always have skepticism, and there were certainly comments about, well, what's the point, because will you do anything as a result? And we are absolutely being really careful to respond and again implement in new activities as a result of the feedback.
So sure. So you've got your intranet refresh, you've got channel audit, you've got measurement, you've got line manager communication, leadership communication. What else on the agenda for next year? It's already getting pretty busy.
It is getting busy, and another of our key audiences are our field operational staff.
What do they do?
We obviously probably all be aware of Storm Arwen over the weekend. So we had 700 faults over the weekend, and our operational team had to get out, trees down, access routes, trudging through the snow to very remote masts to, sort of switch on, reconnect things that have gone wrong. That they're very, very much.
So they really are out in the field,
out masts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So to reach them is quite a challenge.
It is a challenge, and although everybody has access to all of our e-channels, intranet, what have you, through their mobile devices, it's the time, and making things, sort of packaging, making it relevant, making it's so important that they think it's for them. And certainly we've been working with the sort of line management in the operational side of things to make things better and to ensure that audience feels heard.
And I suspect that's an audience that a lot of companies will have similar challenges with. So next year will be a year when you can really connect with them, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of getting under. We've always sort of considered them, but I think it's a real opportunity to get under the skin of what we do and how we can sort of make a stronger connection. Okay,
so there's quite a lot on your list there. What are the, if you like, the barriers to kind of achieving what you want to do? I mean, kind of, there's a lot you've got to get your head around, a lot to achieve, but challenges?
So challenges, you touched upon it earlier, sort of it's the resource, how do we get everything done within the team? And again, it's knowing about how to maximize suppliers, external partnerships, really build strong strategic partnerships, so that you can reach out and get that support when you need it, and I'm fortunate that, I have built up, as you can imagine, over 20 years plus,
network.
A strong network.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I mean, you talk about resource, and it's obviously an issue for a lot of our listeners today. How confident would you be of getting that kind of buy-in from your exec team? You said they trust you, but are they willing to splash the cash in terms of helping you to achieve what you want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I, as I said, really fortunate that I have a leadership team who passionately believe in communication. Our CEO is a great communicator, and our people director as well, very supportive and really driving the agenda. And actually, that's not the issue at all. It's almost sort of holding them back and saying, hang on a minute, let's just focus on, and that will be a really key thing to prioritize, make sure we're doing everything well, and embedding it, and a lot of what we're doing is also about the consideration of our audience. It's about the capacity of the audience to take on new and adapt.
And what are the key, if you like, corporate themes for our Kiva for next year? What are you kind of focusing on, concentrating on?
So this year we introduced a new organizational model structure, and we moved from business units to functions, and we're still embedding that model. So we're doing a lot of work. We introduced new vision this year as well. So we're driving that to phase 2, if you like. So we're doing work at the moment to really connect people with our purpose. So our purpose is to enable a switched on world to flow, and it's really starting to. We're going to run a campaign early next year to bring that to life and allow everybody to feel a part of that. So that's a really key thing. But the other area is also to grow our business, and we're now rapidly growing into the utility smart metering world, using our sort of infrastructure to support that. So that's a big growth area for us.
Sure. Okay. Going back to the purpose side of things, which again is something that resonates with a lot of clients, particularly at the moment. People are obviously choosing their careers based on what the purpose of the companies they work for, and we've heard also a lot about the great resignation from people who are moving on from companies that don't have a purpose or don't have a good vibe. Is that? So purpose is a real issue for you, and do you see resignations, is renewal and retention a big issue for you as well?
So we have a huge focus currently on recruitment because of the new structure we introduced. We have some key we call the sort of very strategic roles that we're currently recruiting for, and it's about sort of making sure that we're engaging and getting the talent we need and the new skills we need to grow into these different sorts of areas for the business. So absolutely, it's really key for us at the moment. We've probably, like many organizations, have started to campaign in that space in a way that we never used to before.
And how's that taken shape? What have we done differently?
So with sort of getting current colleagues very much behind why Arqiva is a great place to work, sort of asking colleagues to actually showcase and talk about their day-to-day life and what it really means. We've sort of been creating case studies and video, short video sound bites that colleagues can post on LinkedIn to support the vacancies that we're recruiting for. So we're trying, again, it's test and learn, trying lots of different things, and it actually is having a big impact. So we obviously we have a graduate and apprentice scheme. We put that on hold last year, like many organizations, but we've now kicked that off again with a vengeance. So, some really exciting opportunities coming up right now.
I'm interested in this test and learn thing you talked about. And because we've talked about internal comms having that kind of that platform now to kind of forge ahead, and it's up to us, as you said, to shape it. Does that, because we have proven ourselves, does that mean it's easier to test and learn and try new things and go to your organization and say, look, I've got an idea, and let it run?
Yeah, no, absolutely, it is.
Would you think other people should be doing that? Other clients should, other companies should do that? Just have a go at something new.
Oh, I completely support that. It's as if you position it in the right way, it's surprising how much support you get for. Just go ahead and do it, and it's not necessarily. The trick is to know when it's not working as well.
Right, absolutely.
So it's no good flogging a dead horse. And that's the whole point of test and learn. If you try it, we get a lot of feedback from colleagues. They're not shy. They come forward, and that's great, because you don't know what's happening if you don't actually hear from people. So and
if it isn't working, you can in your particularly in your industry, pull the plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Or you move on, or you change it, or you try something a bit different. And we've certainly found, so again, a lot of organizations are thinking about what does hybrid working mean for them, and we've introduced a work-life smarter program, and we've been doing absolutely sort of a whole range of different ideas throughout the summer. We're just introducing something we've called homes and zones. So we have a building which has 3 floors, and we found that actually when people were going in the office, they were sort of congregating to the areas that they used to go to, but very easy to miss people, to feel quite isolated, quite alone in a large building, rattling around. So we're creating a homes and zones, just sort of refurbishing the whole of the ground floor, introducing sort of much more sort of different areas of the office, almost recreating that living room feel at home in the office, so that people have that type of sort of casual, informal area to work, as well as the more formal, quiet areas for large meetings. So that's really
interesting. That,
exactly. Yeah.
And are you allowed to wear your slippers, or is it very much like home?
I'm not sure about maybe Christmas onesies.
Interesting.
But certainly we have kitchen areas, so people it does feel a bit like a bed sit at home.
All right, okay. So it is about trying new things, and we talked about this webinar being around a year of opportunity. Obviously, it looks like it is. There's lots of things on your agenda, lots of things you can try. What will success look like this time next year for you, Rosie?
Well, I think, if people feel at the end of next year that they're part of a community, they understand everything they do makes a huge difference to the organization, whether it's small or large. We're also introducing different ways of just saying a simple thanks, recognizing people. So I think it's about bringing the human back into life, and reminding ourselves that obviously people are at the heart of what we do. So
and it's kind of got a bit lost, hasn't it, with the pandemic, about people working remotely, and you forget about the human interaction and the fact that you work with some great people.
Building connections, so important, for me that would be a good legacy at the end of next year.
Okay, a couple of final questions because I'm conscious of the time. As an industry, what does the future look like for internal comms? You've been obviously in the industry for a long time. Are you excited about what lies ahead next year and beyond, or does it fill you with a kind of slight trepidation? Where are we with that?
Well, after 27 years, you might expect me to say, well, I've seen it all before, and actually it's a bit boring. It's not boring. It's absolutely not boring. I wouldn't be here doing what I do unless I absolutely loved it with a passion. I think we have such an exciting opportunity to shape the agenda, to sort of try new things, do things differently, and have real impact, I'm very excited.
And the industry as a whole is in a good shape, obviously. I think
we're surviving, thriving. I think we're positively striving forward, and you only have to see all the opportunities, job adverts out there. I think there's a huge demand, and we should encourage young people to really consider this as a serious career, because it absolutely is,
and I think we've seen some of that, aren't we? People coming into IC as a first step, rather than just being diverted via other kind of mechanisms. So in essence, I guess we've been saying the last half hour, it's really up to us to shape next year, to grasp the nettle, and to try new things and really kind of look ahead positively.
Absolutely. I think we have such an opportunity to make a real difference, and deliver tangible activity that is important to business. So
brilliant, fantastic. Pretty much out of time. Thank you for joining us, Rosie, and for our last.
My pleasure. Yeah.
No, thank you. It's our last one of the year, and we'll be back obviously early next year. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in today and through the whole of 2021. Hoping it will be a kind of fairly uneventful run through to Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Thanks very much for your input, and see you in 2022.